final review of the night. 59% of people out there. We had over 4,000 people vote on the poll of what game to review. You guys wanted Team Vitality versus G2 Esports. And I put the poll out there because I was really stuck between which games to review. On the other hand, Fnatic versus Origin had some really cool moves, had some lane swaps that were interesting, Shen in the mid lane and things like that, losing priority lanes, being taken advantage of. But this game was also meme-tastic. And meme-tastic is a very good reason to review a game. And you might say, Papa, you're selling out for the people that wanted to watch, you know, the silly game. And on one hand, you're kind of right. But the main reason I wanted to review this series is that G2 Esports, the best team in the world, and they're definitely taking some liberties in the draft, and they're fighting for who's playing Pyke and things like that. But here's what I've learned in solo queue, is that everyone plays the fun champion they want to play, and then, you know, like you're doing like a last-second trade, and someone cancels it, so you're stuck playing Karma ADC. You often just lose, because there needs to be more than that. And it's first versus 10th in some ways in the LEC, first versus 9th, I guess, given the XL are also right down the bottom. But there's always something behind the flashy stuff that gets you over the line. And there's still going to be stuff to learn from G2 here that are not just look at them flexing over the enemy. Now, I wasn't looking for those things. I was watching them flex on their enemy when I was watching this series live. But now, on review, let's come together and look. No bullshit. Like, if it's just G2's doing lots of great stuff and Vitality's doing lots of dumb stuff, then maybe we don't learn anything about G2. But it's in games like this where everyone's like, why would you even watch that? It was a stomp. That sometimes you can learn some of the little cool macro and micro things G2 do that other teams don't, that get them leads in spite of the like flashing lights going on with the crazy picks. And sometimes also you might see a tendency from a player who's having fun because the team's winning a lot, that a team in the future might be like, oh, this person's doing this, and yes, I know it was this kind of game, but what about if we attack this in a different game? So there's still a lot to learn. And I find that games like this can be super informational, even if on first glance, they're just flashy. So, G2 Esports versus Team Vitality. Would have been a super hype series in previous splits, but unfortunately Vitality have kind of fallen away. People have asked me my opinion on Vitality. I feel like Vitality knew how they wanted to play in spring season before a lot of teams came together. And at that point, they were able to play super hard counter jungle with Mowgli. Kind of have Mowgli do whatever he wants, just super hard counter jungling. And from time to time be backed up, sometimes by a global champion, sometimes not even backed up. But Mowgli's aggression got them a lot of wins at the start of spring. But then in their losing streak, once people kind of faced Vitality the second time, having both played them and watched other people play them, they kind of found them out. They kind of were a one-note team that had nothing, but Mowgli does some sick counter jungling on something like Jarvan and takes 3 buffs, and then they just make more aggressive plays than you would imagine. Behind that, there wasn't much behind that. So I think a lot of teams just were able to outthink them. And I was hoping in summer, going over to the RNG gaming house and practicing a lot, with RNG increasing in performance, it made sense that perhaps we would see Vitality come in with some smarter controlled aggression. But unfortunately, Vitality have felt more and more like the poker player that just bluffs a lot, you know, that just bluffs and just always represents that they have the nuts, you know, they have the best possible hand. And yet, if you just call them enough, call their aggression enough, they're actually just bluffing. So unfortunately, Vitality have so far proven to be that in summer. I had higher hopes. I tipped Vitality over Splice in week 1, but unfortunately, they've really kind of fallen apart when it comes to having team kind of win conditions and identities. So, ban-wise, because obviously every region's a little bit different. We've gone from LCS to LCK, now over to LEC. You'll notice there is no Sejuani ban against G2. G2 actually, on paper, one of the scariest Sejuani teams because they play Sejuani solo lane. Mid, top, and jungle. I imagine Mickey could play at support. Not sure if Perks will ever play at carry, but now that I've said that out loud, good luck, Perks. Congratulations on your victory on Sejuani AD carry bot lane. So Sejuani, considered a very, very strong champion to leave open because she empowers her solo laners so much. And given that Caps and Wonder have such flexible champ pools, if you see Sejuani, you're so afraid of Camille in either lane, of Fiora potentially in either lane. There's so many different melee, even Jace, right? And his ability to go hammer form with Ignite. There's so many different champs that combo with Sejuani that giving away Sejuani is so toxic against a team like G2, but they're G2 who play Pyke solo lane, who play a little bit of everything. So what do you ban against G2 is one of my favorite things to do, is to, in a G2 series, see what the enemy drafting coach tries to ban to get them an edge. Aurelia banned away because Wander is just an outstanding Aurelia player and Cap's pretty good in his own right. You don't want to deal with Sona X. This has been in the meta this week with Sona Tom Kench also being able to pick up a lot of victories. So did Galio also picking up victories. So you're kind of resigned to ban the Sona. And Caps is the best Sylas I've seen in pro play, winning both sides of the Akali Sylas matchup. So I think you're kind of forced into these two. If you leave open Aurelia, it's just Schadenfreude moment. So you get so few options in draft against G2. Makes Grabs' job a lot easier, that's for sure. Is Grabs in the chat? I saw some people mentioning Grabs. Grabs is the top man. Shout out to Grabs. So it's very hard to draft against this team, that's for sure. Sejuani expected first pick here. I think Yuumi first pick's actually not good. They lock it in because they've clearly got a plan. I'm happy to see it because I'm always interested in more data points of Yuumi winning. Because Yuumi always kind of a struggling champion. Recently, teams haven't been able to figure out. And this is a very nice draft to pick up. Picking up Jace Sejuani in a vacuum, you're like, man, we sure got a lot on the side of Vitality. You can skank for this champion. It may not be Aurelia, but it has the same mechanic when you go into the melee form. Sejuani, no counter picks really at the moment exist that work. Even Ning's Kane and Trundle hasn't been performing reliably against this pick, so not necessarily a champion with too many weaknesses. I think Yuumi is a first pick champion that teams haven't understood how to make work. So when I say I don't like it, I'm just like, Sejuani. But like, Yuumi for sure is a broken concept on 9/11 with the ability to pop basically all CC. And it's also a champion that can win 2v2 really hard. So around the Yuumi, we'll learn things. Still, nothing to dislike on the Vitality side. What are we taking first round? So the moment it's Yuumi Pyke, you know the Pyke is in solo lane, but it's actually a pretty smart draft spot here because let's say they drafted not Pyke. They drafted just two random champions. There's no chance you ban Pyke here because they beat Jace with Pyke earlier. Like, you just don't do that. Like, the Pyke is taken here because it is suggesting heavily that it's going to be against the Jace. And from everything that people are saying, it was very likely that for multiple parts of this draft, this was going to be a top lane Pyke. Now, I'm pretty aware that it ends up being flexed, but it's just an interesting thing to know is that at the end of the day, you feel great taking Pyke here, and if you don't take Pyke here and wanted it against Jace later, it wouldn't have been banned either. So it's a really fun mind game. I have watched this game, so I am aware of where it goes. I don't remember necessarily the draft order, but I know the comps as they end up. Just to answer some people in chat who were surprised. Very important mention from our caster, Ender, who comes out with the big brain. We've actually seen some Pyke Yuumi bot lane. Now, that makes the Pyke pick here a really tricky one, because if they're practicing it on stream, by they I mean Reckless and Hylissang, then there's a real chance it's bot. If you see a first pick Yuumi, I would argue the chances of it being bot lane are higher than you might imagine, because if it's being practiced recently and a champion that's been going down in priority in many regions is first picked over Sejuani and some other choices at first pick, it is suspicious because it's like, we really want Yuumi. And then the enemy might be like, but Yuumi is losing. So that's already like a, interesting that you really want Yuumi. And the example I can give you guys here is when we had Yuumi first pick against Gen G. Gen G instantly responded with Yasuo Gragas. And I was like, They insta-locked Yasuo Gragas with no other info in a lane that doesn't respond to the first pick Yuumi. Is this just Yuumi against Yasuo Gragas bot lane? Is this just a Yasuo Gragas counterpick to Yuumi? And the answer was yes. The same is true here, and that's why people talking about Vitality and the mic check taking it is this champion is kind of taken out of order, and then there's a very real chance this is the bot lane duo. So it's cool to know that we have the confirmation, but there's many times in drafts where casters might know it, but the pro players are going to be the first to kind of get the bullshit tester going. If the draft smells bad, it's probably what you first thought. If Yasuo Gragas is first round after Yuumi, it's probably more often than not bot. And if the Yuumi's first picked into Pyke following it up, it's probably bot. And then Neeko, which I'm a big fan of. Any team in the world should be first rounding Neeko. Super flexible champion, can go in every lane. Big fan of that being first rounded. Nautilus taken. Another champion that synergizes with the CC here. Hard crowd control duo. The melee attacks synergize with the Sejuani. Doesn't show too much. It's also just if you actually hook Pyke when he after uses a cooldown, maybe you can get him. But it's not particularly good against Pyke in the 2v2. Like if you know this is 2v2 Pyke Yuumi, Nautilus can do nothing against Yuumi because Yuumi pops all CCs with her W on this patch. That changes on 9.12. And Pyke is the most slippery of champions. So, yes, it's a pick champion, but it kind of goes against the story of knowing that it's bot lane for sure. Bans rise for second round. LeBlanc Akali bans. Flex ban. And then into the LeBlanc ban against Caps. You expect that this is going to be Neeko mid lane, even though it's a flex pick. When I see the Akali ban, my LCK eyes tell me Yasuo. Because Yasuo, one of his only kind of unplayable matchups considered by Korean pros at the moment is Akali. And has the synergy with Sejuani, but it would have been pretty heavy physical damage comp. From here, I really like the Xayah. The Xayah is by far the best AD carry champion in this choice. When you see Pyke Yuumi bot lane, you need to take a champion that can deny picks, and there's a lot of pick on these three champions, so I really like the Xayah here. I think it's a perfect choice. Like you need AP damage, so I understand why it's not going to be Yasuo. I just think of Yasuo when I see Akali, because I think Akali bans on power level on 9/11 have gone away in most regions. So this is obviously where the confirmation on this side is that he doesn't get to play Pyke. Now, and then it ends up being the Echo here. I'm actually not familiar with the Echo-Neeko matchup. Echo can kind of kite out. He can, I guess, outplay the Pyke ultimate. So this is a champion that's hard to get a Pyke ult on. This is a champion that's hard to get a Pyke ult on. The other three are a little bit more straightforward. So I don't mind the Echo here, and he can wave clear next to the Neeko. Has some all-in options. And I know Neeko struggles with gap close, so you think of Aurelia as a good matchup into it. And it's a famous Jizuke pick. I'm very well aware of that one. So it's trying to do a lot of things with that last pick, Echo, but I actually don't hate it in this scenario. But it is kind of more comfortable for Neeko than some other matchups might be. We zoom through to last review of the night. G2 versus Vitality. Cool tricast. Lovely, always hitting a quick shot. What happened here? So Mickey should have... Interestingly, Mickey should have a small mistake here. So if you guys aren't aware of how the cooldown works, when you jump into a body, and we're not 100% clear when he jumped in. Is he leashed at this point? Can I even tell? Yeah, so he's already in there in the belly at this point, 28 seconds. The point I'm making is that the cooldown for the you and me, the W from Nico, applies from when you first enter the first host you jump into. So you jump into someone, you have that 10-second flat cooldown at level 1. If it had already elapsed at this point, if it had already been 10 seconds, when this play on screen happens, so we'll go back to the game. Sorry, I'm saying Nico when I mean Yumi. So we'll start again. So the Yumi W, the you and me, and I have Nico on screen. I actually, for some reason, get Nico and Yumi mistaken quite a lot. But so the Yumi W has a 10-second cooldown from the first time you enter a host. Any host, you have a flat global 10-second cooldown on the W to go back in after you drop out. So assuming he had already been in the Pyke for 10 seconds at this point, which I think is realistic, I think that's likely. The correct play to make here to check this brush, which is what they want to do, right? Like they just want to check the brush here, is you check the brush and then Mickey actually stands in front of Perks. Now the reason for that is that when the hook comes out, if the Yumi is the one that's hit by the hook, you can pop the hook by jumping into Perks' body. So you're actually able to pop CC, assuming that you have the cooldown on W left open, which realistically probably was. I don't have Pro View and I can't review a Pro View at the moment, so I can't confirm this. Maybe someone wants to review whether the you and me cooldown was up or not, but we see it a lot in the LCK where you just can never hit a line skill shot if you play something like Nautilus onto the Pyke, because you just jump out of the Pyke's body and then jump in. Now, this is a 9-11 200 IQ moment. So the Papa's 200 IQ in chat is appreciated, but this does not apply to 9-12 because 9-12 other CC effects do interrupt the Yumi, but on 9-11 they don't. So because on patch 9-11 they don't, it's actually a small execution mistake from Mickey. Because it forces them out of the jungle here. Now, it does mean that G2 on the top side can go and put down vision. So we talked about how we wanted this particular review, because while we're going to appreciate the Fiesta, we also want to see what kind of basic mechanics of G2 are on display around all the crazy moments. They do a very simple thing. What's the correct thing to do when 4 people invade one side of your jungle? Get vision elsewhere. So they get the red ward. That's very standard by Yankos, but good to see. So we have a trade of red buff info here. But Vitality doesn't know their red buff is warded. Do they put a ping on it? Let's find out. They suggest that it might be warded, but they don't know for sure. So, okay, they actually do have pretty good info there. I was surprised they actually were aware of that. So both red buffs are warded. Both teams appear to know about it, so we can't talk about there being a vision advantage there. Leash provided by Perks and Yumi, so... And there's no reason not to leash when there's information there, so that makes sense. Why no ward Raptors or Gromp? So the reason Elise is warding the enemy red buff is that Elise is much better at contesting red buff than she is at contesting Krugs. She wants to be a champion to find the opponent and kill the opponent. And if you know that your camp is warded, you're more likely to take longer to get there or to go straight there. So either you're going to go big buff to big buff, which is very easy for Yankos to counter jungle around, or you're going to take longer and then Yankos might be in position to actually kill. And Sejuani, of course, is a champion that if a passive is down, Yankos can kill on invades. So big buff vision for someone like Graves and someone like Elise, who has kill pressure on the invade, makes a lot of sense. This 2v2 lane is very actually hard for G2 to pull off. Yes, Mickey can tank CC in the front line, but it's also a melee champion, has to think about the feathers. Now, this is definitely a game where I think the nameplates make a lot of importance. Attila and Jack Troll got 2v2 killed at level 1 on the previous day, so I think it's one where you know that Attila and Jackdaw are going to be down on confidence a little bit, so you're a bit more happy to run kind of a punishing lane. Perks doesn't go Relic, in case you guys are wondering. You would often see double Relic here if it was a double melee lane with the Pike, but he doesn't go Relic because I believe... I'm not actually 100% clear on this, but does Mickey get Relic procs when he's in the You and Me? I assume he doesn't. I don't know that for sure, but my first assumption is at this moment when he's in the belly of the Pike, he doesn't get Relic procs. Yeah, okay. I've seen no in chat, so that would be my suspicion as to why you don't go Relic in the lane. He's basically kind of like off. He's like in stasis kind of form when it comes to those effects. That's good to know. What happened top side? So we weren't focused on the Sejuani path. Yeah, Sejuani does bot side clear, takes red first. For now, at least going to stay top side. So full clear in the end from the Sejuani. After a counter gank attempt in mid lane. That's well played so far by Mowgli. I think Mowgli uses his time really well. Sejuanis will often leave their Krugs for a little bit longer than most people. So I think that's good to know. And then, you know, at this point, kind of in a, what's the word? In a vacuum, Echo's winning trades against Caps. Actually I didn't even notice this during the game, went Comet just for poke trades. So went for kind of a strong laning phase Echo rather than the electrocute that we usually see. So more sorcery than we usually see from an Echo. Sejuani's top side looking for a pathing around the Yorick. Getting a summoner and the top side is successful. But here's the bot side gank. I love calls like this. So Nico takes a bad trade in mid as Elise is invading. And they're so fast about making their next play. Echo is full health, full mana, just shot, doesn't have teleport. One of the few things they have is a teleport advantage that Vitality can't respond to. So the speed at which they make this play, which is a very standard play. How long did we have? Like 3 years we had of teams bunching up a minion wave, putting down a turret dive ward, and looking for a turret dive. I didn't actually notice how big the minion wave was on the bottom side. Let's see how big it was. We'll get more confirmation. It's not that huge, but the next one is coming. And go for these sort of turret dives. So it's actually a very standard play, but it's a standard playbook. We have this advantage. The Echo is going to take a long time to respond. Let's get kills bot side. We can reset aggro very easily. This is for champions that find it very easy to dive more and more, but then they take long enough that actually they end up with egg on their face a little bit here. What happened to Mickey? Now remember, Mickey does take turret shots if he tries to tank turrets. You can't use the Yuumi in order to reset aggro as easily. Mickey deleashes, he tries to walk up, as kind of the rest of his team is not considering his position at all, and after Attila had already teleported in. I think Mickey was just kind of like, his eyes weren't centered on his character and kind of just died randomly, because they were actually out. G2 were out. The dive there is the correct dive. The redive attempt without teleports being up is good. It's a good time to redive. But with the teleports up, the redive is not so good. And then Mickey is just trolling. He's definitely super desynced with his team there. So the kill did come in bot side, and they got an advantage through his bot side. And we talked about how the turret dive here is heads up. But G2 actually has a couple of different masters to serve if they want Wonder to be relevant. So we're going to watch let's speed this one up. This is the turret dive that we just watched. Yorick versus Jace is a really interesting matchup in that Yorick loses super hard before Sheen. And then with Sheen, if he gets enemies flash down, usually that requires the jungler to come. But the moment he hits Sheen towards Trinity Force and gets the enemies flash down, there's a lot of kill pressure, actually, in that lane. Just okay. Let's watch this replay. So level 6 to level 5. 2 tanky, thick boys. Echo applies the Sejuani passive quick. We didn't talk about that in terms of melee champions that synergize with Sejuani. That's big. Does he bounce him out of the range here? Probably not, but very, very close there. So almost some really bad negative synergy. Jizuke gets to reset turret aggro, so that part's not so bad, but they miss out on the kill. What happened here? I assume the E was used here, right? Yeah, so it's good flash from Attila to get away from the E flash from Perks. They can't turn a kill. I think both these moments are fine. Like, Vitality is really competitive in the game at this point. It's interesting. So the matchup topside changes when... Oh, that was actually a really good cage. Watch the cage here. Let's watch this replay. I wonder how intentional is this? It's not 100% intentional. It's not like he blocked the 2 models with the Maiden of the Mist, but it's actually really, really well played by Wander. Mowgli's trolling at this point. Minions? Wait. Where'd they go? Watch the auto attack. Why don't these autos kill him? Wait. Is there a maximum leash range? Okay, there we go. Wow. Let's watch the... How does this happen? So it's a good gank time, and they're returning to a no-flash Yorick. Yorick doesn't have a flash advantage, so Cabochard is going to get a free kill. So Mowgli, to this point, does everything right. Now he's out, right? He needs to get the hell out. He's just a noble piggy. They know where mid lane is at. There's no one that could be coming here. But the ghouls and the minions take him down. Oh, that's embarrassing. Oh my god, I didn't know that the auto attacks went into the wall. Oh, Jizuka played that well. Cabo reset a minion aggro and Jace was too near. Let's check that. So derpy. Dying through the wall is too funny. This is well played by Jizuke. Players are getting much better at reading pop blossoms. Like, the amount of free 3-man pop blossoms is no longer a thing. So stuff like that always gives me a lot of faith in kind of League of Legends, is that players get better and better at playing around stuff over time rather than just always falling for the same things. This is such a low blow by Quickshot. It's 1v10. Wander plays the style of this really well. And then, you know, Mowgli wants to disengage and he wants to keep the kill for Cabo. But Cabo gets like... What's this, though? Like, here's the only thing that doesn't make sense. Like, what is Cabo doing here? Like, Mowgli says, alright, I'm going to leave the kill for my boy Cabo. And then Wander's on 1 HP. Why does Cabo go backwards? It's a bit smelly. It was a bit of a mistake. It was a whoopsie. Turret dive here was well played by Jizuke. Classic Jizuke. He was taking too much minion damage? No, he had so much health. Like, he had over half health there. It's not enough to say Maiden and minion damage. Otherwise, Chase is just living, which is definitely not what they were going for. Vitality came from a really nice angle here to give Perks and Mickey no way safely to leave. They use... What do they use to make this play happen? They used Cabochard Teleport to make the play happen. So it gives a lot of solo time to wander, and the moment you hit level 7 onwards, you do get turret plates really fast as Yorick. So the punishment here is going to be in the 1v1, but actually this is a pretty nice collapse from Vitality. It's a nice angle for them to come from. But this is the thing you take, is because you get to spawn ghouls, and because you have an auto attack reset that gets onto a pretty short cooldown, in the 1v1, you get a lot of turret plates if you ever leave a Yorick. He probably takes Demolish as well. I know he has Grasp. This is a cool dive. So this is a reverse of the G2 dive. Cabochard needs to come from that direction. It's actually a very well spotted ward. If you come on this ward, the chances of being juked by all of the mobility in Perks' kit is actually quite high. If you come here, even though there's all this space, the only real option is to go that way. If you try to go this way, he's going to get there faster than you can get there. So it's actually a good teleport. You would assume you take this ward. If you go on this ward, I think they don't get the kill. So nicely done in terms of TP ward by Vitality. They chase down, they get the kill. Get 2 kills. But what happens afterwards? Get me out of the replay. Win live. And G2 are already to the next thing. So this is G2 trying to play around Wander's ability to push up on the top side and get turret plates. And the fact that Jizuke takes turret plates slower than the Yorick's able to do. So they're happy enough to roam on him. And also Caps' playstyle. There's nothing more Caps than coming out of a replay and seeing him already roam topside. That this is the essence of Caps. He will give up multiple minion waves to get his side lanes ahead. And you don't have to play through him. He can be inherently, I'm going to crush lane, but also he's an inherently selfless player, which I think is one of the reasons that he's pretty unique. Because the same player that wins both sides of the Akali Sylas lane shouldn't also be the same player that will miss minion waves to roam. But he will take awkward roam timings in order to win side lanes and win you 1v1 matchups. Not necessarily in the same game, but he's a player who can do both. And that's a very unique thing about Caps that I think doesn't get discussed enough, is people are ready to talk about how great he is as a player. And all of that is true. But the fact that he can do both and has no ego about doing either is very, very impressive as a player. And people talk about the point that's made in chat. You're just so special. Everyone helps everyone, and everyone carrying this team. It's amazing. And you know, I've talked about that same point when I was complimenting Perks last week, and when we talk about the team. It's more than just that, because that just makes them sound like super best friends. But in League of Legends, when you're a pro player who, you know, was on the solo rank ladder at one point and like obviously has a lot of belief in your skills, when the going gets hard, you usually default to I believe in myself. I'm Caps. I win both sides of counter matchups. We need to win, so just put everything in me. I'll carry. And there's been games like that in the past where Caps has had those pros. I think of his Corki game in the second round robin of the group stage in MSI, where he seemed like he had to carry against TL, and it didn't work. But that was very much a reflection of old Caps. I think new Caps is always thinking about how can we win as a team, rather than ever having the egocentric, how can I carry this game? And I think for a player who's so talented to be able to actually be there, he's not that in a fake way. He's not, I'm a team player, but if we ever start losing, damn it, can't cap my lane, otherwise it's over. Like, he really is, how can we win this game? Oh, going top and sacking some minion waves? Yep. Oh, I have to carry this game? Yep. And it's very rare to be both those things. You know, to be introspective, but also aggressive, but also a carry player. Like, that's hard. It's hard to be both those things. I think that is a special thing about Caps. And a special thing about G2, as you point out. There's so many players in the history of League who have been superstars that when the going got hard, cap my lane. Because I'm the carry, damn it. And I don't think Caps is that player at all. And that makes him an interesting kind of figure to have in the top of LoL Esports. Get a mid laner who can do you both. Good one, Battle Gnomes. Like, Vitality is still doing really well in this game, even though this ends up being a stomp, right? They've got control wards to kite back to, so this is actually a smart Ocean Drake take. They know they can kite top-wise. No TP advantage top side. TP's on both the mid laners, but Suzuki has priority. Like, so far, this is just a great game to review because it's interesting. There's been no Clown Fiesta stuff, and there's been no, like, first versus 10th, like, slamming them. I think people forget that Vitality were actually competitive in this game and actually looked way better in the first 10 minutes here than they have in any of their other games in summer season. Very nice Ocean Drake here. Both teams dream of Ocean Drakes. So, really high value Ocean Drakes. This on-demand wave clear tool is being used on both sides. So Mowgli clears a ward. He is spotted to start this play. Then he goes on to dive. So Caps is on the right side of the lane. So already, Mowgli's going for a pretty low percentage gank. Caps is saying either he's stealing your shit or he's going to come from left side. So he's aware. He's aware of this. That's why he's on the right side of the lane. He will never kite to the left side. And that gives him the space, because this is not a bad ult from Mowgli. I think the gank is too telegraphed, but this, coming in from that angle and shooting it like this, I actually think this is the perfect ult if you'd never been revealed. But he has been revealed, so it's not going to hit. Now, good point here is that actually, if he had actually hit it on point, Caps is not far enough away for it to pop. If you notice, if Mowgli does hit it straight on, you can tell that it would have hit Caps. Regardless, Mowgli with a transparent gank, Caps plays this really well. He has to hit the Flame Spitter through, the Thorn Spitter through minions there in order to get the stun. And then you get the moment the tilt is made of. The E without Sheen is not going to be enough damage. It's a low damage build from Jizuke, and then you take the extra turret shot here. Oh. And Jizuke, because the thing is, from here, he can keep running, but the problem for Jizuke is, the E doesn't kill, the Q puts him out of mana and he can't ult. Where would the ult have gone? The ult would have got him to safety. Well, it would have got him away from turret, but probably would have died to Perks and Yankos, right? So he's probably died either way. But that play of over-pursuing for a gank in mid lane is actually what really does kind of open some floodgates here. It doesn't open the gold lead yet, but that's a real tilter, right? That's an ultra tilter. The flash was super good, though. So, here's where matchups change. The reason why we saw quite a lot of Yorick versus ranged champions in spring season, Karma top, for example, was tried against Yorick. Other things tried against Yorick is if you're against Yorick and you flash as someone like Kennen, Jace, any of these kind of turret plate champions, then you die if you get hit by the cage, because Yorick does so much damage if he has his Maiden down and has anything towards a Trinity Force. So one CC hits here and you're 100% dead. And it's why Yorick can be pretty good to be turned into matchups like the Jace from time to time. And it's why it seems to be a second choice after the more expected Pyke that ended up getting fight to move to bot side, is that now every time Cabo's flashes down, you do die if you get caged. The baby cage kills you, because the next back is going to be Trinity Force back timing or close, and there's no way out. Oop. Getting close to that 15-minute timer, right? When the paintbrush was opened. So now we get to talk about the cool mechanic that wasn't relevant when you're under turret the entire game. When you are invisible as Pyke, so is the Yuumi. Makes sense because you're a subset of Pyke. So is the Q, Prowling Projectile, or whatever it's called. So Pyke and Yuumi are like secretly this really scary duo in terms of pick. They are spotted on a control ward, but it can be so annoying, and it's something that happens a lot in this game. Was distracted by what was happening topside, though. That was a much better Sejuani ultimate. However, stuff like this is where the Pyke carries, whether it's the support Pyke from Tucson in our last series, but also in this game, really play in. And Pyke as a champion is so counter to a lot of teams' play styles, because if you're against a team who you know only wins by brawling and skirmishing a lot, and that's kind of what Vitality is known for, like Pyke, if he shows up at the right time, just means you get more gold out of scenarios like this. And in scenarios like this, for example, it sounds like the queue has been bug fixed, which is probably a good thing, because I'm sure it was an interaction that just wasn't thought about, and then it's an interaction they don't won the game, which I think is fine. But Pyke being able to come in and make plays like this gets so much extra gold to G2's side, and will only continue to do that. But in these kind of disarray moments, these are where G2 have been known to absolutely get people flustered, right? And Catilla gets a side lane push here, but Wonder is able to push in the top side. There's so many pick tools in this like pick trio, and they also have this unexpected variable of the Yuumi. And adding in the Yuumi here is just meaning that chases are more often than not hitting. There's so many types of line CC. They just can keep skirmishing forever because it's pick after pick. Cooldowns are coming up. We're seeing you and me for the second time. To answer your question, the passage of play... The passage of play starts here, with Vitality still a little bit ahead in gold, and G2 saying, let's invade their blue side jungle. We have a lot of pick power. Now, they don't have a lot of wards to follow this up, but they just have this Pyke Yuumi duo, and then Caps once again not caring about his own lane. Like, he doesn't give a hoot about turret plates or anything like that. He just wants to fire more and more kills. Like, the amount of spell rotations that go through in this are insane. And we're getting close to the paint shot moment for Wander. I believe it's around his next recall when he's going to top. Is it like 15:02 or something? They can just keep chasing, and Vitality's problem is so many members want to contest this blue side jungle. And you wonder why, because the only person not there is Wander, who wasn't joined in on any of this play. He eventually joins, and you see Mowgli and Cabochard re-invading again, kind of baited by low health bars. As long as the mana bars are healthy, G2 have so much damage that if you're trying to kite topwards, you're kiting away from Attila, so you're getting more kills on the bottom side. It's over a minute of getting further kills, and it went from a 400 gold lead for Vitality to an 1800 gold lead for G2. Part of that is going to be the the Pike gold, but it was just so many people with dominoes one by one because Vitality didn't have a clear call to just vacate their blue side jungle. They were ahead in the game before then, and if you look at turret plates, they have a lot of advantages there, but this is around the time that we got the Wander opening up paint shop. We can actually get the exact timer, right? By going, how do we find it? Wander paint Reddit. Here we go. Let's get that picture. Do you get the timer? 15:46. Hey, I actually paused it at the exact perfect time. Yeah. PapaSmithy, man. He literally ducked into this brush and opened up paint. That was unlikely, but this is in fact the paint shot moment where he's here. And it's because if you think about from Wander's perspective, he didn't get to play the Pike. He got stolen away, so he ran topside. He then, farmed his lane. He had to be on the weak side of the map, so he was getting no resources. He finally got Jace's flash, and then Elise comes to clean up the kill. And he teleported late to get nothing done. So Wander for sure has been playing single player. He's not really enjoying his single player. So I like to think of the paint as kind of the cry for help is like a negative review on Yelp, or he went on Steam and gave it a negative review here, because his gameplay experience has just been running it down top with a couple of different people visiting his lanes once or twice, while everyone else on G2 is having the most fun ever. Like, think about all the playmaking these champions are known for. Yuumi, Pike, Nico, Elise. Meanwhile, he's just like this slow-moving bulldozer in topside that's getting nobody to come to his lane. Like, he's having a birthday party alone, whereas everybody else is having a lovely time. So I can understand, like Wander, who gets to play the fun champions quite a lot, for sure was the Eeyore in this game. Like, he was having no fun at all. So I get it. I get it, Wander. Exactly. You guys, poor Wander, right? Like, all he gets to be is, world champion, MSI international champion. He gets to have cats, so he's got that going for him. He's actually the crazy cat lady, if you think about it. No one wants to visit his lane. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Wander, yeah. Because now the game state has changed, and think about what's happened since Vitality were winning. Vitality were winning, they spent too much time running into their blue buff. A lot of people die. And now look at the map reset that's happened afterwards. Let's try and compare map states. We had a state for a long time where Vitality controlled River and had aggressive invade wards. Then we had the int in mid lane. And now when we zoom forward to the map state now, actually the map state here is almost perfect for G2. They control the river. That used to be Vitality area. They have Wander able to push up on the top side, and Pike's picking up minions in the bottom lane. So Perks, who hasn't been able to get a lot of farm going this game, he's going to have 17 minutes to get 100 CS. finally gets a wave and can push out. The Yorick was able to get priority in the top side and do his thing. So the game stay here. Let's look at the gold. Like Perks is a 1,600 gold, 1,800 gold behind. Support 600 gold ahead. 200 gold, so basically even here. It's the 1,000 gold here, and amusingly, solo queue Wander with the biggest gold lead of everywhere. As G2 just looking for picks. Like, there's no objective for them to fight over here apart from red side control into Baron. Like, Rift Herald's up, but a lower value Rift Herald for now. So how they use perks here is very interesting, because the ability for the G2 to use Wander to create chaos in the SKT series was the big reason, because they got all those mid-game fights. And the argument was if SKT played better, then you just don't get caught, and therefore it doesn't matter. But it's intriguing to watch how they try to get perks into this game, because obviously the potential is there. Yeah, the plays when they're trying to make it around the Prowling Projectile aren't working when Perks is not there, so Perks has to walk back up. Vitality slowing down the game. Getting Vision back in is obviously Vitality's priority at this point in the game, but nothing so far. Vitality are going to feel good about whatever lane they can drag Nico to. So Nico's still mid, which means that the Echo should have a lot of time to push. And this is how Vitality think they're going to get wins, is for the Echo to push through bot side and get wins in the 1v1 against Nico or the 1v0. And G2 want to make this narrowly around mid lane and the Rift Herald, or mid lane and the Baron. So G2 are trying to play 2 lanes when Vitality are trying to play 3. It's an important thing to remember, is that kind of stretch the game open Vitality comp versus make the game a bit more narrow. If you're G2, G2 have a lot of picks, so there's a very real chance that you can play around just 2 lanes. When Baron comes on the Rift, that's usually where things get a bit more complicated. Let me see a replay of this. So Rift Herald's taken by G2 pretty late. I think Vitality's okay with it, with how late the Rift Herald came down. They're trying to run Echo on the side lane and try to find a good matchup, whether it's Pyke or Nico. You're really happy to be dragging people. So the comms are definitely keep dragging someone bot side, stop them grouping around something like the Baron that's spawning later. A lot of kill pressure for Jizuke onto Perks. How'd this start? Not knowing the interaction means that Jizuke takes a lot of free damage here. Yeah. The interaction, the invisible Q is the reason Jizuke dies in the side lane here. Jizuke has a really winning matchup against Pyke. And if Pyke Yumi, he was able to see them come, and things might have been okay. The only thing you can say is that Nautilus walks down with an empty Sightstone at this point and can't put down any spotting vision at all. And that's why they don't see the you and me in the lead to the Pyke going down. So Jack Troll having no vision here, actually, like, he comes in thinking he can get a kill, but I think it's too deep to come as just a duo disconnected from the rest, and then it ends up being 2 kills. So this is a macro mistake from Vitality in that particular scenario. And then it forces them to make a really aggressive dive, which does work. But they're using all 5 of their champions, and meanwhile Vitality is... G2 is able to go topside. Oh. How'd this go? It's not an invisible Q. Mowgli and Attila are really not in sync at all in that play. That's bad to see. And Wanda just pushes in top. Click the ward. Is that what happened? I mean, that auto is definitely an A move, but it wouldn't have changed anything, right? He was trying to walk up top and didn't have ult. And now the Rift Herald with the Maiden at this point is actually pretty strong. Like, it's actually a pretty strong moment to jam the Maiden Rift Herald Zoo comp into the mid lane and get the charges, because now the map is actually getting pretty long. G2's Baron damage is pretty awful. We should remember that. Yeah. Got the confirmation there. The Nautilus walking down just didn't do anything, though. Like, you wanted... If the Nautilus can come down and give covering vision, I think it's the right move. The fact that he couldn't means he should have just been topside, putting down vision around Baron. Wunder's really strong now. Like, the item timing he's on is actually massive. Titanic, Hydra, Trinity Force. You take so much damage. Two Qs while the Maiden is applying to you with Trinity Force proc, and I think you kill any enemy almost. Don't worry, we're coming back. I promise. Internet, please. What happened here? We just crashed the stream, lads. There we go. It's funny how these plays happen. Because the face check that started this play was very, very aggressive. That led to the first death onto Yankos here. We want to get red side vision is what starts this play. But it's interesting how fast the play can morph over time. And that they get the answering kill. And then with the Rift Herald, they can force Vitality down into almost no area. And look for further kills. So Perkz opens early with ult for gap close. And that's eventually what draws the Feather Storm. But the trick once again works with the Prowling Projectile. What's to remember here is like this feels very Fiesta-ish, right? Why does this entire play happen? It's something that I want to talk about here because the reason it all happens is that G2 know they can't play 3 lanes and respond to Echo Jace. That's not what their comp was picked for. They want to get picks. They want to play, like we mentioned, in 2 lanes between the mid and the top lane. So they need Baron vision in order to play in those 2 lanes before double teleport is going to create a lot of problems that Nico wave calling under a turret can't answer. Yes, there are equal amount of teleports, but 1, Attila has an extra one, and 2, Nico plays the side lane with the AP build a little bit less safely than Echo and Jace. So because of all of that, G2 need to take over red side jungle. That part is normal. That part is expected. They go in, they get burst down, they're too bold in how they do it before Caps has moved. That's a mistake from G2 in terms of execution. But they TP in instantly, and they focus on what they can do. They're not worried about the Yorick holding Echo on the bot side. They're talking about, if we get picks and if we take over red side jungle, that's how we win the game. And it's not a stem the bleeding of side lanes. It's a impact the most damage on the enemy. And that's why Perkz going in here, it looks super Fiesta-ish, right? Because almost getting hooked under inner turrets and things like that. But they're making calculated plays around where they need to play on the Rift, which is, as we mentioned, topside. They come in, Attila gets caught, something's got to give. Another turret breaks. This is the second passage of play that feels like a long cut. They continue to push up, and it feels like, yeah, they got a lucky pick. But they're just going to keep getting picks. They got a lot of pick tools. Their cooldowns are low. They keep getting more. You know, Mowgli's zoned out of his base. They take an inhibitor. This play at 20 23:03 where they kill an inhibitor. 23:06 they kill an inhibitor, right? It's 15-9. Consider that just over 1 minute earlier, Jankos had died and it was 12-7. So this entire passage of play that goes a minute 20 seconds is actually what wins G2 the game so quickly. And it's the play that we don't see in the LCK. So it's the play that I think is the most interesting to review, is that G2 say, we need to take over this, and this is how we win the game, so we're going to push on it. And they also know that they have consistent pick power. So even though it starts as a 3v4, in fact 2v4 because Cass is not there just yet, they teleport in, they double down on the play, and they keep looking for picks. They want a lot. And through this play, given that, they can keep pushing up. All they got in the previous fight was mid-turret and also, put the Rift Herald charge on inner. They keep playing around here because they know the payoff for these pick plays is super high. The payoff for killing Attila after the start ends up being inhibitor. And teams don't think that aggressively. They don't realize that actually you can break bases a lot earlier than first Baron. No Baron is required for G2 to break this base because they're dogged and because they keep returning to, if we get the right pick, we're going to break the base. We've got Yorick with Trinity Force, Titanic Hydra, and just the most damage destructors you could ask for. And it actually reminds me of the famous play between SKT and OMG, where SKT in one push were able to... Sorry, OMG in one push were able to break the base. That's how it went, right? I think it was OMG and not SKT. Because they get so much in an area where I think of how every other LCK team would just full reset, because they say, well, our pick champions are healthy, we have good damage behind it, and if we fish for a pick that might get us an inhibitor and then back away. Yeah, I think it was SKT. I'm thinking of SKT OMG Worlds 2013. If we get a pick, then we get an inhibitor. If the pick tool misses, it's Pyke throwing a sphere. Well, no worries. He can just E away or W away. It's Nico throwing out an E. If it misses, no problem. If it hits, we get that inhibitor. It's knowing what the trade and the payoff is for something that makes G2 so strong, because it's so easy to reduce this to Fiesta. And for sure, there are Fiesta moments, but I think the fundamentals that make G2 more than just a Fiesta team is they always know what their next objective is, how to get it, how not to get it, and what the payoff is going to be for trying something. And if they can try things that are actually low risk, high reward, like fishing out with those Qs, like that, they are very low risk. You miss the Pyke Q, you don't get the kill, you don't break the inhibitor, but no one dies. If you hit the Pyke Q, you get the inhibitor and the game ends. So purely from a play that started with Jankos face checking and dying, G2 just end the game. And I think this is like the standard that ends up making it so hard for Korean teams to get where they want, and for Korean and a lot of other regions to do it in a G2 way. That you need a lot of supreme confidence to close out a game like this with no back timings, no Baron. 24-56, 23-10, the game is over, right? 48k, 7.5k gold lead. 24-56, write it down. Remember that one. The play starts at 21-47. From 21-47 to 24-56, there is no back. There is no Baron. There is no objective apart from playing one lane in the mid lane. And they keep pushing out and trying to take advantages because this is the area they need to play in. And with no back timings through this, this is entirely one play. You think of famous movies or TV shows. I think of True Detective and the famous shot they had that was shot in one take, the no camera cuts take. This is a no camera cuts win of a game that was at this point when Jankos dies, which is here. There's 1,000 gold between the two teams. And then in one take, with no breakup of this play. There is no shopping trips. We just play forward. Everybody pushes up, looking for picks. They finally get Attila. They take him down. No one's shopping. No one's getting mana refreshes. They keep pushing. No one's backing off. Take a red buff or a blue buff. Let's take down the inhibitor turret. The inhibitor goes down. Oh, someone stepped up. I'm going to hit him with a skill shot and kill him. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Like, they would have ended with so much gold in their pockets. And yes, Jankos did end up backing because he died. But this is all one continuous play. And that's the part that is G2. And that's the part that is unique. They're chasing for kills, getting further kills to bring up the minion wave, and they end the game. All in one passage with no backs from anyone other than Jankos dying. And I think that's the part that, again, asking a Korean team to get on G2's level in playing like this, I think is too hard. Just almost like... Wait, the Q flash, did it happen? Did I miss it? Oh, let's wait for the Q flash. I missed it. Well, Luca, whoopsie. It's almost an impossible standard to ask a team to play with this level of aggression and trust in the process, to just keep pushing and never reset, when so much about how League of Legends was played was never like this before. That didn't actually account for playstyles like this. Just like it was never really straightforward enough to just bring Korean players and Korean coaches into the LPL in the prime of the Vision meta, and that will just mean that Chinese teams can play the Vision meta well. They're good team fighters already. We got Uzi, we can win. Like, I think both of them are equally unrealistic. Like, G2 sees these plays and is confident enough at super high map time where they don't back and they close games in a way that's super unique to them. And that's just rewatching that last passage, I think, makes this VOD review a really worthy one for me. Because there's definitely moments in this VOD review where, like, the whys of it and the mistakes are there. But again, the way we pitched the meta coming in spring season, but also last year was, with especially this year with turret plates, the meta is an aggressive one that wants you to play on the front foot and to always be looking for advantages. Like, that's what happens. And if someone dies while you're pushing for those advantages, you don't lose out on vision control and lose map control and get waited out slowly. You don't get smothered like you used to in the day. You're just back on the map super quickly and you make it happen again. And that's... G2 have a word that was added to the Australian dictionary. They have a bounce back ability. Because they really believe in their allies and they really believe in how to play out the game. They trust calls, as we've noted with Caps, but also true for the other players. They are very much a team that is happy to step up one game and step back other game. That they feel like the Bobo doll. Maybe that should be the G2 analogy. Like, if I was filming like a skit for like a LCK like kind of channel, it'd be kind of like some Korean, like very identifiable Korean pros and casters like Cloud Templar and Faker. And it'd be G2's samurai face on, they're called Bobo dolls, right? The ones where you punch the clown doll and it bounces back up. Like, this has that center of gravity, so it always bounce back up. So you punch the clown, G2 comes back up again. You punch him again, he pops up again. And that's what G2 do, is that they're always playing front foot, aggressive League of Legends, in your face with pick tools, and they know how to win. And you punch them and you're like, all right, I got him. Like, G2's down now. But they punched Jankos. He died. Like, he was dead. Not in real life, but you know what I'm saying. And yet, they still said, no, we can do this. We've got Pyke, Yumi, Elise, and sorry, not Elise at the time, but Pyke, Yumi, Nico. We can get further kills, and then any kills come in, they can't defend turrets, and then Silas comes in and punches down, not Silas, Yorick comes in and kills turrets very quickly, and that was the right read. And from a 4v5 over 3 minutes with no backs, they ended the game. And that's what I learned from this, is if you really know how strong you are, and if you have the right read on a scenario like that, you never have to take the back time. They never had to make this game around the Baron. And that was lost for me in one-time speed. So I learned another thing about G2 here. And another thing about how League of Legends can be played, we'll never see an end of the game quite like this because, you know, they were having their like infighting during Champion Select on that one. But what a unique close to the game on just a very interesting game between G2 and Vitality. Unfortunately for Vitality, it's like, well, your first 10 minutes were way better than expected. I feel like Mowgli, when he's looking for ganks, is nothing as good as Mowgli when he's looking to counter the enemy jungler, and I think that's something that hurts them. I think they should feel hard done by with how early this game ends, because they were only 1,000 gold down 3 minutes before G2 just, I don't even know what the word is for them, annihilated them on the map. But I think Vitality still, something's got to give. Better performance from Jizuke. In hindsight, like the Echo combination with the Sejuani as this AP version of the Camille and Sejuani mid lane duo that was dominant. But I think this was a G2 was just better rather than a Vitality's never looked worse. I think Vitality had their best game of the split, but G2's just better. All right, guys, I'm going to close out that review here. So bathroom break, ad break, and I'm going to come back, answer your questions. I'm going to close up the stream. So thank you very much for watching G2 versus Vitality. The last 3 minutes really elevated this for me, and I really loved looking over that because such a unique finish to the game with just one kind of consistent overwhelming of the enemy. So if you have any burning questions, I will come back and answer them. I will also read over any subs or donations. So thank you very much for watching G2 versus Vitality, and we'll be right back.